Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and today we will take a look at the strongest characters within all of the series. But before we do so, check out the first part with the places of 10 to 7 in order to be up to date. And I also would like to take the opportunity to thank my Patreons for supporting this channel. And with that said, let's start with the ranking. And we will continue with place number 6. Pandora's actor, the so to speak son of Ainz Ooal Gown himself. The personal NPC of the leader of all 41 supreme beings and area guardians of the treasury vault, and its deepest reaches, and boy oh boy is he worthy of this place. In essence, he's like a min-maxed version of Ainz Ooal Gown, even weaker but even more versatile than his original creator. Blessed with incredible intelligence and the ability to transform into any single one of all 41 supreme beings, he is probably able to come up with a hard counter for any single enemy if given enough information and time. And the battle against Platinum's armor has shown how incredible good he is at extracting intel, even without the ability to read the surface thoughts of his enemies, even with weaker gear, and fighting at only 80% of Ainz Ooal Gown's power, and despite him holding back quite considerably in order to extract information, he was able to resist the melee-based Platinum armor, and he even tricked him into not using the blunt damage-dealing hammer, just via a clever use of spells and a bit of talk. And as the treasurer, he has access to all of the different gears and weapon sets of all of the 41 supreme beings, and to many more weapons and items. Furthermore, he has access to not one, but 2 of the strongest world items in existence, powerful enough to override even the effects of normal world items. So if push comes to shove, if the treasury vault is breached, Pandora's actor will eventually make use of these 2 incredible potent world-class items to annihilate the foes of his father. And the only reason why he isn't even higher on the list is because he don't has access to the 2 of the 20 most powerful world items at all times, and also likely would only dare to use one of them if the continued existence of the tomb and his creator is at stake. On the halfway point we find Ulbert Alain Odle, the great demon goat / Shunibu of the Great Tomb. Of all of the 41 guild members, Ulbert was the very person that was just obsessed with evil and being evil and role-playing as evil. But while the smug-looking goat might seem to be funny, Ulbert Alain Odle has 3 great assets we know of that makes him absolutely OP. Number 1 is his trump card, Grand Catastrophe, a AoE spell so powerful that it surpasses even super tier magic in damage output, but without the ridiculous long time it takes to cast it. He alone was able to blast away 4 level 87 elementars with a single hit. Of course, while the spell is potent in the extreme, it is also extremely costly, requiring roughly 60% of his total mana pool. But still it has the potential to at the very least one-hit level 100 characters if they are very weak or have already taken damage. Ulbert could in essence deploy the same strategy Ainz deployed against Chaldir against his enemies, by either trying to blast them away with a single spell, in his case Grand Catastrophe, in case of tougher foes damage them until their HP is low enough to be one-hitted, or use Grand Catastrophe first, wait until the mana pool has recovered enough or was replenished by summons or items, and then use Grand Catastrophe again in order to destroy the opponent. The second asset that makes Ulbert so OP are actually 2, namely the 2 statues Ulbert had created in an attempt to recreate a certain world-class item capable of summoning innumerable demonic hordes. And while both statues can't do that, they both hold 9 spells of ExplainedinEvil if combined, and therefore more than enough to occupy any single enemy player. In essence, even if his opponent is able to summon forth dozens upon dozens powerful and semi-powerful monsters, Ulbert could actually do the same without touching his mana pool, just by using these statues. And while the individual demons were relatively weak, that is by player standards, they were often used as a sacrifice in order to summon larger, or rather greater demons, without touching skills or his MP bar. And last but not least, Ulbert still has the other 40% of his MP bar left, even if he uses Grand Catastrophe once. So the other 40% of absolute high tier damage spells could be used to either finish the opponent off or to prepare him for the grand catastrophe. And as a guild member of Ainz Ooal Gown, Ulbert would of course have access to world items, further adding to his power. And while players, floor guardians and other high-level NPCs would likely lose the battle against the first of the demon, at least there would be a battle to begin with, for the new world would be completely at Ulbert's mercy. With his powerful spell he could probably one-shot Platinum Dragonlord's armor, and unlike Platinum's own wild magic attack, just equipping a world item or being able to use wild magic won't negate Ulbert Alain Odle's powerful spell. And if it comes to melee, all Ulbert really needs to do is to hide behind his massive army of demons in order to win, so it would take an extremely potent level 100 opponent to stand any chance of defeating him. And at the 4th place we finally have somebody like this, the main character of the entire series, the Overlord himself, Ainz Ooal Gown. As the last remaining supreme being and the former leader of the Great Tomb of Nazarick, he has access to all manners of items and can use them at will without any restriction. And Ainz, as part of his standard outfit, also fields his red orb into battle. And this world item is utterly dominated by him, so much so that his name is engraved onto it, and it commands a power extremely potent when used against dragons. You know, for foes like Platinum Dragonlord. But aside from his world item and the other world items he could use, Momonga, while not min-maxed for combat, is nonetheless an experienced PvP fighter that uses his incredible guile and cunning to win the engagement that count. He's also willing and able to deceive almost any opponent via false information and feign weaknesses. You could also say that he wins all of the battles that count, while pretending to lose those that didn't. And he had also doubled down his efforts to understand the mechanics of the new world, ever since he was transported into it. Aside from his impressive array of magical spells and the overmaxed mana bar to make proper use of them, he is also specialized in insta-death magic, and therefore is able to take out any enemies that can't resist his deadly touch, as the name suggested, in an instant. And aside from this, he is able to summon an extreme number of potent undead, and heal himself and his summons via negative energy. In addition, he is also able to buff these potent undead even further. But the biggest ace in his sleeve is his special Eclipse class skill. The goal of all life is death, and it is just as epic as it sounds. Any death spell buffed by this skill will instantly kill anyone in range, regardless if he is undead, immune to death magic, protected by gear, or allied spells. Once buffed, any of his death spells is able to wither and kill the very ground and air around him, turning it into a desert of death, where a single breath would kill anyone not immune to death magic, even after the goal of all life is death had ended. Anything short of a world-class item, or an item that would revive you after the spell has taken effect, just can't withstand Ainz's mastery over death itself. Additionally, the Overlord is extremely adaptable, and had essentially turned himself into a passable warrior by means of his perfect warrior spell and Touch Me's armor, and by studying his enemies' attacks and stances, and simply incorporating them while fighting as a warrior. And since he don't need to level up for this approach to melee fights, he has infinite time for adapting an infinite number of potential strategies, tactics, weapons, techniques, and combinations of them, which gives him even more ways of defeating his opponents. And while not being able to use all of the gear of his friends, like Pandora's actor is, he nonetheless can field an incredible amount of them and even use world champion armor. In essence, he can not only spam potent tripled and maxed spells, but also day-affected weapons by the dozen. Furthermore, he is also in possession of numerous scrolls, healing items, summoning items, and means of gathering intelligence, for example via the mirror of remote viewing. And last but not least, the very reason I ranked Ainz higher than Ulbert, at least on this list, is the Staff of Ainz Ooal Gown, which enhances Momonga extremely, to the point where even a relatively weak effect like Aura of Fear level 1 was able to affect all of the floor guardians, including the defensive Albedo, the undead Shaltir, and the demonic Demiurge. It also increases his other stats and abilities to a considerable degree, and they are just the passive effects, for he can cast spells bound to it, for example Vermilion Nova, and he can summon Great Elementars, and these are level 87 beings. And while one bright candlelight wasn't able to beat Aura and Mare, at least it could keep the twins busy for a while. And the stuff holds more greater summons like this, so it alone, much like Aura, can field a small elite army of high tier summons and some additional lower level beasts. So in short, with the staff and his world item equipped and access to all of the weapons in the treasury vault, Ainz would be able to bring almost anybody to his knees. Except maybe the next entry, which we will take a look at another time. For today, I say thank you very much for watching. As usual, please leave comments about what you're thinking about my ranking, and last but not least, special thanks to Adam J, Al Capone, Andy, Angel of Death, Batgirl Yee, Boyzilla, Chrissy, Diabetic Centaur, Dystopia, Elika Birchleaf, Faily Skatus, Feral Shivan, Gigafight, Ghost of Epicness, Hector Moreno, Black Phoenix Emperor, Hoss, Jana B, Jason, Kleinator, Chromius, Lars, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Lord Ulbert Alain Odle, Luces Ollie, Lexus Fox, Majima, Matt, Matt C, Marcos, Mr. Shoes, Mindless Wrath, Minnow 13, Myrtis, Nfiria's Potion, Primus 11, Sasuga Einsama, Sebastian, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Surge, Sparkly Unicorn, The Orc Warboss, Rock Ad Smasher, Vash Hawkeye, Zoggo Bane of a Lot, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, over and out.